So this Wednesday, we'll see the vernal equinox in our hemisphere. And the vernal equinox, all equinoxes really, are a bit of astronomical poetry. It's both a marker of time and a measure of light. It's a cosmic reminder. It could be Wednesday, or it could be a cosmic reminder of our Earth's relationship to our sun and our relationship to the Earth. By its immense scale and personal impact, the equinox puts us in our place as it draws our attention to our planet and our dependence on Zer. Though in truth the relationship is less one of dependence and more one of interdependence, even interbeing. As such, the equinox is not only a measure of time and light, it is a measure of our character. And perhaps a prescription and invitation into better health. As I thought about this topic over the course of the week, the question came to me. Reminded as I was by the equinox. Are you an animal or a commodity? Are you a fully dimensioned dream of the earth or a one-dimensional tool of capitalist patriarchy? An infinitely variable subject or an object of utility? It's a stupid question. Now you know the answer, and the question presumes that you do. So a rhetorical question then, one advanced to make a point. But here's the thing, it may not be so simple a matter as the question or you or I presume. And actually, truth be told, it's a trick question. It presumes that you know the answer in order to demonstrate that you don't. For here is the answer. You are a commodity. You are a one-dimensional tool of the capitalist patriarchy. You are an object of utility to be consumed until you can be replaced by a more efficient model. You are these things because the paradigm in which we live and to which we acquiesce likes it that way. The ability to imagine otherwise has been short-circuited by a social program that has limited our vision to a materialistic, consumerist relationship with all that we behold. You are these things further due to the truth of what I call the carbon rule of interbeing. What you do to others, you do to yourself. All you do, you do to yourself. And we, personally and culturally and habitually, reduce the dreamings of the earth to commodities, objects, and exploitable, soulless material. We have for hundreds of years. And then we use it, and use it all, until it is all used up. And all you do to yourself. It is an unbalanced way to live. And we are killing our planet and ourselves because of it. There's an assumption there, and let us make no mistake about it. The assumption is that the earth lives. I would say that we are proof of it. We and all we see are products of the earth. Flora, fauna, and minerals are organs of a single being, a living being. Trouble is, there's a lot less organs than there used to be. Consider one of the major organs of the earth, the soil. From 1892 until 1992, so 100 years, the mineral content of this continent dropped by 85%. That means that, for instance, as a result, corn today contains 78% less calcium than it did 50 years ago. And then, it reminds me actually there's a Hopi saying that human beings are corn walking with 78% less nutrients. So imagine, if you will, a sea, an ocean with 90% more life in it. Imagine it. Imagine a prairie with 90% more animals and plants than there are on the prairie today. Know that the forests you see, that the desert you see contains 90% less life than they did before human use depleted them. 90% is a big number, and probably some of you are questioning it. That's good. You're Unitarian Universalists. But yes, after accumulating the research on the decline of species, it has been suggested that the earth has 10% of the living things on it that it once supported. 10%. The living earth suffers. We have been and continue to be the cause of it, from buffalo hunts to the current insect apocalypse. And as all the fruits of the earth suffer, we suffer. And thank Gaia that we do. Our suffering may be the last hope that we have to wake up and reanimate, to re-engage as corporeal spirits of a dreaming earth, to rediscover the imagination it will take to save everything. Because it is also true that we are fully dimensioned and infinitely variable intersubjective animals of the dreaming earth. We are earth body, earth consciousness. You know I love to think about consciousness. I know some of you do too. And regardless of whether consciousness is produced by our bodies as a result of our own complexity, or exists in and of itself as a feature of the universe, either way, consciousness involves our earth-spawned being, our earth-spawned material. Our souls are known because we have bodies. Compositions of earth and their elements arranged in a complexity beyond our intent or understanding. This is grace given. It and we are beautiful. The earth is beautiful. And as far as we know, entirely unique. And I am so damned angry about the waste of it all. The waste of my life, my perceptions, the life around me and the perceptions there beheld, because I am so in love with what is wasted. What's freely given and fully bodied and intersubjective and then taken for granted, commodified and trashed, taking with it our yearning for anything but that. Reducing our spiritual hope and imagination to social reward. That's a nauseating exchange of the sense of God for the sense of self. And that is how you commodify church. And we do it all the time. We even do it here in our church, exchange spiritual connection for ego satisfaction. I've seen it, I've done it. It's sacrilege. And when I am aware of it, I am not patient with its practice. But here, in a church, in a community organized around the religious yearning for connection, here is precisely where we must bear witness to the imbalance of a life lived in one dimension and the zombie world it has manufactured. Without that painful confession, without that awareness, there is no hope. Without diagnosis, there is no cure. It will take some imagination to bring balance back into our relationship with the cosmos. Now, imagination, is both a tool of understanding and interpretation and an experience in and of itself. It is a tool and an experience. It is fundamental to every kind of interaction, communication, and relationship that we have. Imagination does not mean unreal. Imagination is not cordoned to fantasy. It is a necessary aspect of meaning-making human beings. And as we and all we do are products of the earth, imagination is also a fruit of this planet. And combined with our senses and sensations, imagination is an invitation to the consciousness of Gaia herself. And so, we look forward to the vernal equinox, and as we do so, let us take this opportunity to reimagine our deep interbeing with all we behold. Let us allow this auspicious time of year to invite us to imagine a more balanced way of being that has the power to reanimate and resurrect our world and our animal consciousness, the movement of the earth. So disposition and spin and circuit teaches us, if we will listen, about our own need for balance. Now, balance is rife with apparent contradiction. Geologically, the equinox is a day where we spend equal time in the light of the sun and the shadow of the earth. Night and day get equal billing. There's a cosmological equilibrium in our relationship with light at this time of year. Now, equilibrium speaks to us of stillness. And this is a good prescription for our current habit of decimation. Stop. Be still. Find a stillness. You cannot imagine a way out of our trap if you are rushing from one inane, if necessary, task to another. Your life will be over before you know it. To know it, be still. Find the internal balance and the stillness that it cultivates. So stillness is a gift of balance. Yet when you think of a tightrope walker, balanced on a cord over calamity, there is nothing still about that image. The equilibrium here in this picture of balance is dynamic equilibrium with a decided emphasis on dynamic. There is not a muscle, tendon, or joint in the tightroper's body that is not in a constant state of readjustment. And here is the picture of interdependence, where the constantly adjusting and interconnected anatomy of the tightrope walker is a metaphor for existence itself, adjusting always, as are all the beings in our earthly biosphere, adjusting in relationship, in connection, in dependence with all the others. So in that instance, balance is a state of tension. The tension between light and dark, the tension between or of dynamic interdependence. So balance is still, but balance is dynamic. And quite helpfully, balance also connects dualities, light and dark, stillness and dynamism, and reveals that opposites are differences, and differences are often merely diverse shades of the same substance. In balance is connection, which reminds me of the tightrope walker again, as that analogy demonstrates that balance is not achieved in isolation. Balance is a function of relationship and connection. The relationship and connection of body to tightrope, light to dark, earth to sun, us to earth and its living manifestations. Balance is stillness, and balance is constant motion. Balance is full of tension, and balance is full of ease. Balance requires flexibility, and it is a fulcrum between dualities. It is connection and relationship, and this week we are invited into that consciousness. And that's all a bit esoteric, I know. A bit woo-woo, and it's like a Hallmark card, on psychedelics. It's true and possibly beautiful, but so what? Is it personal? Why should you care? I mean, besides the 90% depletion of life on Earth. Is it relevant to you today? Wednesday? That's another stupid question. Of course it is. But how? Let's retrace our steps. We are out of balance in our relationship with the world, which is no less than our relationship with ourselves. Balance is still dynamic, flexible, and connective. How do we achieve it then? In this world that we co-create with our imagination and its production, our bodies, in this world where we are mutually creative with it, where we are the world, if this world is to regain its balance, it must come through us. We are too influential for it to be otherwise. So how? I guess the honest answer is I don't really know. I have some ideas, and you might have some ideas too. My first impulse is to listen to the lessons of the earth, of the equinox, of balance. Be still to discover your flexibility. Be still to become aware of your own dynamism. Be still to pay attention to your body and the way that it moves through the world. Be still to do no harm. Be still to discover an awareness of your relationships and connection. In that awareness, employ your imagination to recover the meaning of the truth. Imagine that you and I and all of those around you, every living thing you behold and every inert thing that you sense, imagine that they are dynamic, active products of the earth, and that you share processes and substance and qualities with all of it. Imagine that the same force that produces your mind also undergirds everything else in the world. In that imagining, understand that the earth has given you the ability of consciousness, just as it has a cat, a grove of aspen, an ant colony, a school of fish, possibly a mountain, possibly a stone. The source of all minds, the source of all consciousness is the same. We are aspects of the earth's mind, and we are not alone in that. We are fully dimensioned dreams of the earth, infinitely variable, intersubjective animals, and we are under assault from ourselves. Now, you could recycle all you want, and you should. You can reduce your waste, drive less, eat less beef, and lobby for greater protections for the atmosphere and its contents, and you should. But until we, which means you, recover our sense of actual feeling and mythic consciousness of connection, relationship, and interbeing, until we feel our interbeing with the earth, we will continue to traumatize ourselves and terrestrial life. So today was the equinox ritual, but it's not the equinox. So I'm going to give you a take-home ritual. So take your pick on Wednesday, dawn or dusk. Wednesday's the equinox. So at that moment of balance, when light and dark achieve a brief and dynamic equilibrium, at dawn or dusk, I invite you to find a stillness and open your mind and your imagination. And here's how. At dawn or dusk, sit or lay down. Take a deep, full, aggressive breath for each hour of the day. And release each breath passively. That's 24 breaths. Aggressively breathing in, passively letting out. And after the conscious breathing, sit in the stillness. After that 24th breath, sit in that stillness and listen. Use your imagination to connect you with whatever you hear. Could be a bulldozer, could be a bird. Could be a stone. Use your imagination to connect you with whatever you hear such that you can feel your interbeing with it, that you recognize it as you, indwelling in experience. So I will remind you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and possibly an email blast on Tuesday night to do this. And you can do it or not. Can you find your journals? If you don't have a journal, would you raise your hand and we'll have one of the practice associates bring you one. So the prompt is, this is your opportunity to reflect on your own interconnection. I'm going to ask you to reflect either in pictures or words in your journal on a time where you felt deeply interconnected with something. And I'd like you to describe what that something is and what that felt like. And if you have never felt that way, I want you to imagine it and tell that story. So either remember or imagine a time when you have felt your deep interbeing, your deep interdependence with whatever world you found yourself in at the time.